What's going on, all you wild zombie fans out there? Your two favorite critics are back tonight. Woo! We're covering oldie but a goodie tonight. This one came out back in 2002, directed by a fellow you guys might have heard of, Danny Boyle. Train Spotting comes to mind, and written by somebody who also you might recall, Alex
Who?
Garland.
Who?
Yeah, so many good films that these two have collaborated on. They've went on to both have great directing careers. Alex Garland, of course, Civil War. He
Ex
has
Machina.
Ex-Machina. Go down the list. These two are involved in quality projects, and it all started back in 2002 when Cillian Murphy, a young Cillian Murphy, unknown, came out of nowhere and starred as Jim. That's right. We're talking about the zombie film, started the franchise. We're talking about 28 Days Later.
They're dead, and you're gonna be next.
That's right, these two zombies are back here for Cinephellas talking about a film from 2002 and really great revisiting this movie. I don't think I've seen this movie since it came out in 2002. I saw it with my dad in the theater, had a great time with it back then. My dad hated it, but it's fun revisiting this, all these years later. Coming up with a new film coming out 28 years later, of course, very interested in rewatching this and, seeing if it still holds up and definitely does. And of course, this has to do with the virus outbreak happening in England. It has to do with this group of chimpanzees led out by these activists that basically had this virus spreads across, London, England, everything. It starts this big zombie apocalypse sort of thing going on here. Kicks off the movie 28 Days Later, where it picks up with the character Jim, played by Cillian Murphy. He's in the hospital, wakes up, and there's nobody around. And really great shots of London right from the get-go of the film, how abandoned it is, and him trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, great setup for the film. England, the big, set piece for this, the whole, obviously, all of England, the sandbox for this movie for Jim to travel the apocalypse in. And this introduced zombies that can move fast and were vicious and kind of made it like a virus instead of the traditional like brains. They bite you and then it infects your brains and everything. This was like a virus, like you mentioned, from a research lab from the chimpanzees, and introduced like something that everybody would fear: zombie infected people being able to chase after you at full speed, not just walk, and you could easily get by them and hit them over the head and run, kind of like we see in a lot of zombie movies. Night of the Living Dead with George Romero zombies, and then with The Walking Dead on TV. This really upped the ante, and that's really what I remembered from my initial viewing of 28 Days Later. Having revisited now all these years later, it definitely still holds up, and it looks, they haven't really remastered it, so it still retains that kind of on the ground, boots on the ground. The way that they filmed this feels like it was a found footage more than a big budget blockbuster, and that really sets it up and makes it really scary and eerie.
Yeah, it reminded me of using my Sony handheld camera in 2002. It was shot with the same exact camera that was probably 300-400 bucks, very raw, very, the resolution's pretty shitty. It just gives you that really claustrophobic and raw sense that you're with these people and dealing with this back in 2002. And that's really the charm of the movie, that it's really low budget, but it's very effective at the same time. And that really has to do with the directing and writing of this. These are characters that we care about. Of course, Jim's character comes across three other humans aren't infected alongside Jim. That is Brendan Gleeson, of course, plays his dad, Naomi Harris, Megan Burns meets up with them, and then of course they go on this road trip to get out of the city of London, out to the countryside of England. Of course, they come across zombies along the way.
Zombies, and like we've seen a lot since this movie was made, military elements. And Christopher Eccleston as Major Henry West in this movie. There's always the rogue military characters in these kind of films. We've seen them in The Walking Dead. It's been copied so much, but it all goes back to Dawn of the Dead and all that with George Romero using it, and then Danny Boyle. using that in this movie. And of course, there's always the military that are, going outside the orders and doing things that they know that they shouldn't and are not safe for anybody, and it gets everybody into trouble, gets people killed. We see that here, but it's written in a way by Alex Garland that it's smart. The dialogue, actual situations that you can imagine being in. I like the whole scene where they're able to escape in the car, but they got a flat tire and they're in the tunnel there and they saw all the zombies coming at them and they had to change the tire and they literally just get the tire on and get in like right before the zombies get there. It was well done, well written. Like you mentioned, Naomi Harris, her character, it's not a surprise that she's able to survive. She's no nonsense. She's not going to wait around for people. When she sees somebody get bit in the arm, she chops off the arm. She's not going to wait and get feelings involved and stuff like that. She wants to survive, and that's why her and Jim make a good pair in this film because it's all about survival, and both of them know how to do it. Cillian Murphy, this was the first time that we'd seen him in a film, and obviously his blue eyes, you notice right away, and he's an Irish fellow here. And this, I could see that he was going to have a huge career after this film. He's just everyday, a great everyday character that everybody could sympathize with. And he actually, lost a lot of weight for the role, waking up in the hospital in the beginning and lost, looking really gaunt and skinny. And then over the course of the film, as they're able to find food and whatnot, he gains weight and fills with. But yeah, just a lot of awesome situations and things that make you wonder how you'd react in the same situation in the apocalypse.
Yeah, that tunnel scene is probably one of my favorite scenes and shots of the movie where you see the zombies coming around the tunnel and they're like trying to hurry and get in the car. I just love the way that was shot and just really a scene that stands out to me. And then stakes are super high. They need to get out of there, need to get out of London, go out to like more of the bleak countryside to get away from all the infected. And of course, coming across more of them out in the countryside. And of course, really the monsters of the movie are the military guys are trying to go after the young 13-year-old girl, which is absolutely freaking creepy. And Eccleston, being the head of the army here, the army guys, and he was a piece of shit too. And of course, when the zombies show up and kill them, you're kind of rooting
Mhm.
where you don't
Yeah.
root for the zombies, but these are really the monsters of the film. And I thought that was really great writing and really edge of your seat kind of stuff.
For sure. And when Jim goes back to like his, childhood home and where his parents were from, and, that brings up things about his past and about people that he cares about and misses and wonders like what happened to them during all of this. Where is everybody? And, leads to questions about is this happening all around the world? Is this isolated in the UK? And that kind of goes throughout the film. And then you find out at the end, there's actually some post-credit scenes where you see them, they're able to flag down a helicopter that flies over, and it kind of leads into what will eventually 5 years later be the next film 28 weeks later. So this started a franchise here, but it wouldn't have worked if this first film in the franchise didn't work so well. And it really does. It's really well done, scary, believable, based on science here with this virus, this rage virus that is able to infect humans and, causes all of England to turn into a zombie apocalypse, and just very scary. Some great scenes, narrowly escaping a horde of zombies several times. And then, the introduction for us all to Cillian Murphy, who just won a Academy Award. So just for that, it's awesome and worth revisiting.
His career has really gone a long way since this, hasn't it? Winning a goddamn Oscar. Oppenheimer's career is only going to blow up, get bigger from here. So very incredible. Like I'm with you. Back in the day, seeing him in this movie for the first time, I'm like, yeah, that dude's going to be a big star one day. I can see it. Those really beautiful blue eyes and the charisma, and just a great guy and a dependable guy and the hero. He really plays it well in this movie. And of course, the rest of the cast is really fantastic. Always love Brendan Gleeson. Love the chemistry the cast had here, what they're fighting against. the bigger monsters at play here. Has a lot to say in this movie, and it kind of stands out on its own when it relies on the virus itself and zombies running super fast after them. And really well done. Holds up, 23 years later. Had a great time with 28 Days Later. Can't wait to see the new film coming out in a few months, and of course, we'll be back to review that. That being said, I'm going to give Danny Boyle's 28 Days Later, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Killian Murphy hair pieces.
I'm going to go a little bit higher. I'm going to give 28 Days Later a 4.5 out of 5. Brendan Gleeson hair pieces.
So I want to hear from all you wild zombie enthusiasts out there. What did you like about 28 Days Later? What didn't you like about it? What's your favorite film in the franchise? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to stay, subscribe. Also, check out these wild uncles on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and our website, Cinephellas.com, for the latest, greatest TV, movie news, and reviews.
And I think we should come back and review the next in the franchise, 28 Weeks Later. Let's do that before 28 Years Later comes out. And there's going to be 2 others in addition to those in that movie too. So there's going to be some zombie action in our future here this year in 2025. It's going to be exciting. Danny Boyle and Alex Garland are back. And then I believe the second one is going to be directed by Nia DaCosta, who did the Candyman revival. And then she did a really good job on that. Not quite 28 years after that, but 20 some years later after the first film came out. So it'll be interesting to see if the tone matches up with this one. And yeah, it's an exciting time. So we're going to be back. We'll review 28 Weeks Later soon. So thank you guys for watching our review of 28 Weeks Later. And until the next installment in the franchise, I'm Uncle Henry Murphy.
And I'm Cillian Murphy, signing out until the next movie review for Cinephellas. Cheers!
Cheers!